Go. Welcome to the Master Day at Leiden University, and in particular here, the event for the Media Technology Master of Science program. My name is Maarten Lamers, and I work for the Media Technology Master of Science program. I work at Leiden University. I have a background in computer science. I have a PhD in artificial intelligence, and I am now a playful and creative researcher, basically. I teach and I do research. The current academic questions that occupy my mind at this moment are, for example, what does it take for a digital system to be considered creative? That's the thing that my research is about. Or other things are like, is it possible to take a digital system and replace certain components by biological matter? Those are the type of questions that I currently deal with in my research. But I'm not alone here. I'm joined by one alumna and one student, and I will ask them to introduce themselves for you. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Zane Krippe. In 2008, I came all the way from Latvia over here to the Netherlands to study at the Media Technology program. 2 years later, I graduated and have been doing my PhD research. And last year, I joined back Media Technology as staff. So one of my tasks is to support students in their graduation projects.
Hi, I'm Ties Lind. I'm a second-year student for Media Technology. I did my bachelor's in artificial intelligence in Groningen, and before that I lived abroad, so I moved to Holland to study here. And I'm finishing up my this course now, and Zan is helping me with the graduation project. And
Very good. Well, so the plan for this session is that I will give you a very short introduction about the Media Technology program. I'll keep it short also because we kind of assume that you've watched our online presentations already, and if not, you can always do so. They can be found via our website. Nonetheless, I will say a few short things, and after that, we can basically transition on into a question session in which you, the audience at home, can ask us questions. The Media Technology program, it's a special program. It's a special program not only at Leiden University, but also in a more broad sense in the academic world, because we really deal with creativity and academia. Basically, we are a creative and curious outpost, a creative and playful outpost in the academic world. So we approach doing scientific research in a playful manner. And it is important to us that the research that we do is basically, it's personally inspired. It means that it's not the kind of research that you see that happens at many universities where whole groups are focusing on one particular topic. No, in our case, everyone in our community of researchers, and that involves our students, of course, the PhD students as well, but also the master students, they come up with research questions, and they can take many forms, these research questions, have many different topics, but it's really what comes from the mind of our students, what comes from the mind of our researchers. And then in very small teams, so really at the personal level, we basically investigate these questions together with students. Basically, when I explain it to you, it's important also to look a little bit about how we organize this. And it's important to understand that the program is really about scientific research, about actually doing scientific research. It doesn't mean that you have to become a researcher. You can, at least, but you don't have to. But that's a possibility that we ensure should be available to you once you complete our program. But what does it mean when I say we're really about actual scientific research? Well, it basically means, we train you in the world of science. We deal with writing papers, articles, we do research. Our students make publications, just like our researching staff. We send our students to international conferences, as you may have seen from our presentations or from our publication list. But not only that, we also find that personal inspiration and creativity is incredibly important in research. And I have to say that, I guess that, all over the world in academia, people will acknowledge that. But for us, it's really about this personal inspiration. It's really about this doing research at this personal level. And to engulf our students, to basically take our students along in this route of personal creativity, personal inspiration, we talk a lot about the role of media. Media in the most concrete, most abstract form, basically. We discuss the role of arts. We show you what art can mean and what it can bring to science. We take our students to festivals and basically let them think about conceptual things, about playful things. But once we have the idea that students master this, we challenge them to just do stuff. So that's the role that technology plays in our program. Digital technology nowadays is a great tool that anyone, nearly anyone, can get grasp on, can master. And it enables you to do so much, to create stuff, to make installations, to make experimental equipment, to share things in the world via digital means. And we find this a very modern trait, a very modern thing that any modern academic should be able to do. So we challenge our students to do science by actually simply building stuff, making stuff, right? And it can be anything from interactive installations to experimental equipment. It's all the kind of stuff they make. Before we go into questions, I have a few more minor things to talk to you about. One of the things is really, some facts about the program. And because we have experience in the past that it's good to go through these facts. And we are a program that is organized by the Leiden University Institute of Advanced Computer Science. It does not mean that we are a computer science program. We're not. We're embedded in the computer science department. It's a very suitable department for us to be in. But we're in collaboration with the Royal Academy of Arts in The Hague, which is a city right next to Leiden, and the Royal Music School, known as the Royal Conservatoire in The Hague. So the collaboration between these three institutes forms the Media Technology Master of Science program. It's a 2-year program in terms of ECs, if you are familiar with them, basically study credits. That means 120 ECs. It's a full-time program. We do not offer a part-time variant, so it's really, we expect our students to be available full-time. It's in English, and over the years we have roughly 30% international students, so basically non-Dutch students coming into Holland to study in our program. We have a very nice gender balance in our program, so when we look at it, it's really neatly balanced between the possible genders. And in the end, if you complete the program successfully, you're awarded not a Master of Arts, which many people think. No, you're awarded a Master of Science, because we are a research program, really. Finally, in the first year, and then we'll go into questions, talk a little bit about the first year. It's important to realize that in the first year of your studies, you go through compulsory courses, quite many compulsory courses, actually. And when you look at these courses, you can identify themes to which these courses can belong, or you could qualify these courses along. And these themes, we've made them yellow here, or in the yellow bars on the screen. And basically, we have a few courses that really teach our students the quality, or to work along conceptual, basically to hone their conceptual skills and to think about the role of media and what it can mean. Courses like metamedia or strategies in creative and performing arts are very interesting compulsory courses. Artificial Creatures is a very conceptual course, but maybe the highlight for many students is the visit to the Ars Electronica Festival in Linz. Linz is a city in Austria, a different country. We go there at the start of our program with the students to really get engulfed in this world of media art and media science. Apart from that, we have a very heterogeneous group of students, so with very diverse backgrounds. And as a result, we kind of need to point them out what our view of academia is. So we have some courses dealing with basically academic skills, or what it is to be a scientist in our view. And courses such as Research Fundamentals, Playful and Creative Science, which is really about the role of playfulness and creativity in science. Sciences and Humanities, which really takes a broad view of the different types of research that can be done at a university. And there's a small portfolio, of course, that I don't need to explain very much further. I told you that digital technology is important to a modern academic. So we really want our students to master, to a certain degree, digital technology, basically programming and hardware. So we have 2 courses for that, creative programming and hardware and physical computing. And we noticed that a lot of research that our students come up with places technology inside a human context. What does technology, what does dealing with modern media mean for the human? And to basically train our students in that field. We have courses such as human-computer interaction and information visualization. There's a course in sound, space, and interaction that really deals with the relations between the space that you're in, sounds in that space, and basically what it offers in terms of interaction. And there's a course in non-human cognition that really deals also with how other species, non-human species, including robots, but also animals, deal with cognition. So these are, what you see here is basically the list of courses that you go through only in the first year already. They're all compulsory. So, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I guess from the questions that we are going to see now, we can move into some other aspects. So let's see if there are any questions from home. There's one. Well, it says, is that a question already? Oh, there's the first question. The question is, do you have electives as part of the programs, and what can we choose? Well, let me explain this question. So do you have electives as part of the program? I guess this is meant, do you have elective courses, courses that you can choose from apart from the compulsory ones? Yes, we do. And I'm looking at Ties, for example, our student. So yes. Ties, just out of curiosity, what courses did you do as electives?
So from the first year, I realized that I was pretty interested in like sound and the science behind that. So my electives, which I chose this year, were music cognition, which I'm doing now, and an elective at the University of Utrecht called Sound and Music Technology. I did those as well as computational creativity, which is how you use AI and programming and try to make it creative or use it in a creative way. And also a more scientific sort of exploring elective scientific narration and visualization, which is like how you can present scientific results in a more engaging way or make it more fun. And I think that combination is really nice because it has like all aspects of what I really enjoy.
Okay.
And,
very interesting. So music cognition,
music cognition,
creativity.
So music cognition is more like the psychology behind music. It's from the Department of Psychology here at Leiden. And the sound and music technology was more of like a technical course at Utrecht.
How did you choose these courses? So how did you find these courses? Did you discuss this with fellow students?
Well, everyone's discussing what their interests are, and my thing was to go and explore like these sound and music things, but everyone's doing their own choices for electives, and some people are going to the art school of The Hague and choosing courses there, and some people even went to Norway, I believe.
So it's a very personal choice.
It's a very personal choice based on what. Yeah.
I'll tell a little bit more about the electives from an organizational viewpoint, and then afterwards, maybe Zane, you're an alumna of our program, so I'm not sure if you still remember what elective courses you did.
I do.
So first I'll tell a little bit about the electives as from an organizational point, and then you can explain to us which electives you did. Yeah. Well, let me see. Is there a slideshow for me that I can control? Thank you. Here is a list of, so in the media technology program, apart from the compulsory courses, we also have elective room, things that you can choose. And there's two parallel systems for this. One system is what we call accent courses. These are courses that we, as the media technology program, organize, such as computational creativity, artificial intelligence, social technologies, social signal processing. Social technologies, for example, is about things like how we use technology or what role technology can have in a social setting. And as we know now in social media, it can be a big role. But there's also courses, as Ties did, scientific narration and visualization, about how to tell stories based on science and make scientific results more engaging. These are the accent courses, and every student chooses 2 or 3 of these courses. Besides that, so on top of that, there's the true elective courses, and these are, you can choose anything you want. Ties just mentioned that we had students this year who went to Norway to actually do courses there. Students go to different universities also, but Leiden University is a very broad interdisciplinary university. So we have many, many courses that students can do, such as cognitive psychology, interaction design, different types of philosophy, experimental film. We have a big film school here, a lot of AI programs, etc. This is really the free space that a student has to find the courses that they want to do. So, having said that, I'm curious, Zane.
Yeah.
It's been a while since you graduated, but what elective courses did you do and why?
Right. So during my, I didn't mention that before, but my bachelor was in political science. So I came in media technology really from social sciences. And media tech was an amazing experience. But throughout the program, I realized that it is still the social aspects that I'm the most curious about, the most interested in. And during elective courses, I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I did take courses on philosophy of science and technology, because I was curious on how are we thinking about technology, what kind of philosophical history there is behind, and different distinctions that we make. And also, very importantly, I took an elective course within Leiden University in anthropology department. There was a course called ICT for Development at that time, which was, I was sitting in the classes and my mind was blown. I was like, oh, this is really the intersection between social sciences and technology that I'm really interested in. And curiously, taking this elective actually led me to my PhD position later on.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
So as a PhD student currently, you're doing research in the cultural anthropology department, something you had no experience in before you joined the media technology program.
Yeah.
But then doing these elective courses, you were you encountered it and basically fell in love with cultural anthropology.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you really do research now on the borderline of technology and social sciences, right?
Yeah. I'm, my research is located mainly in Southeast Asia, Singapore in specific, and I'm looking at the intersections of technology culture and business culture. So I'm looking at how new technologies are being developed and what kind of commercial settings influence what gets to become used as a social media or so forth.
That shows as well the human context that we apply to which we apply technology in our program.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Before we look, we'll see in a moment if there's more questions, if they can pop up. But before we do, I want to explain that these elective courses, as we can see here from the story from Zane with the cultural anthropology course, are really they make that the students in our program can actually come up with their own focus. What is it they want to know? What direction do they want to go in? And it's this elective space that allows them to follow basically their own personal direction. It's also what brings the most interdisciplinarity into our program. So, that's about the questions of the elective program. Let's see, we have more questions. How do you graduate? Can you give an example of a graduation project? Interesting. I guess the question is not how did I graduate, but how do students in our program in general graduate? Well, I can say a little bit about that. Perhaps it's possible for me to see the slides again. I'm asking that. Yes, thank you. The director here, let's see. Should be a slide on that. Yes, the graduation research. Well, clearly, as you can see here, the graduation project, graduating in the media technology program, you do that by doing research, a personal study, a personal academic study that every student does. And so the student comes up with their own personal scientific question. And the student is also the principal investigator, meaning, they're the boss of the research. They are helped by two personal thesis advisors to do actually this real research, and it leads to a paper. So we don't like very thick theses. Generally, a student generates something like maybe 12 to 15, maybe 18 pages for a thesis, and that's the main thing about the graduation work. Let me take a look at Thies. I'm not even sure, Thies, but I think you're actually doing your graduation work at the moment,
I'm doing
right?
my graduation project now, which the deadline is in the summer, which is kind of what you work up to these 2 years. So the first year you have all these courses where you learn a lot of new skills, and then slowly you start to channel your interests into what your main research area is. So for me, I was really interested in sounds and advertising and how it influences people. So that's why I'm looking at music cognition and then the psychology behind music. But it's always fun to look at the thesis repository, where you see all the theses that everyone's done.
It's on our website.
It's, yeah, because even in our like graduation class where everyone comes together, everyone's doing completely different things, all their own personal interests. Because like my interest would be music, but someone sitting next to me, their interest would be in how video games affect, I don't know, productivity. And I know someone else who's looking at like heartbeat sensors and how this affects people. So we're all sharing these cool ideas, and yeah. So I guess how you graduate is to try and answer or work on your experiment until you have a cool result.
So your research, I guess it revolves around a particular research question.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of what your research is about because I'm not your advisor, but can you shortly mention what the research question is?
So my topic of research question is how the human voice, how it influences people in sound logos as opposed to like electronic sounds, because if we use a voice in sounds, then it might be more familiar to some people, or it might be more recognizable. And does this have an impact on how this influences your like brand perception or something? So that's what I'm mainly looking at, even though we're just in the starting phase.
So you haven't decided yet whether you want to do an experiment or some other form of study or.
No, but I mean what the interesting thing is that you can. As you mentioned, it's not a specific end goal, like a big paper that you have to fill in. So I'm still thinking maybe I'm going to create my own sounds or create my own sort of database for things.
Actually,
I'm still exploring, and that's, I guess, the fun of it. So.
And that's the cool thing. It's great to be able to just come up with these new ways of doing research.
Yeah.
Very nice to hear, actually. Cool. Zana, do you want to say something about your research, or do you say your graduation project?
It's so long ago. It's so long ago. But I think one of the things that I think is really fascinating about the graduation projects is that you take your personal inspiration and then you embed it into already existing scientific knowledge. So you relate how the ideas and inspiration you have, how it relates to what others have done before you. And then, as Ties was explaining, you can make a practical project out of it. You can create an installation, and then you can run tests or make observations and so forth. I think that's just fascinating.
And who were your advisors in your graduation?
My graduation project was supervised by Bas Haring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Who has a background in philosophy, really?
Exactly.
And, okay.
Yeah, and my research was more about memories of technologies during Cold War and
memories of technologies. Very interesting, very interesting. But we'll leave that to the students. See if they have any questions about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to move on. Also, let me look at the time. It's wise to see if there's more questions. There's a question. What kind of education backgrounds do students have prior to this master? And that's a very interesting question. And I'm going to ask the director, can I see my slides? Because maybe the best way to explain this is to say something about our admissions. I'll put this on here. And then I'll go into what background students have. But first, let me explain to you that basically the admission requirements for our program, we require that you have a bachelor's degree. And it says here on the screen, it's a bit of a weird terminology, alpha, beta, gamma. And that's a really Dutch terminology. And it means basically that it can be a bachelor degree from either the humanities, the natural sciences, such as physics or chemistry, but humanities also, such as literature or filmmaking or communication, and the gamma, which is more the social sciences. So we don't have restrictions on what bachelor degree what the topic of the bachelor degree should be. We have accepted students with always have students with very diverse bachelor degrees entering our program. Talking about students who enter our program, and then later I'll get back to what programs students typically did before they joined our program. But we have roughly 30 students per year, and it's very important to realize that there's no cap, there's no number of students that we say, okay, this is enough. No. So it's not that we say, okay, we accept only 30 students per year. We don't do that. We simply look at what students apply, and then we talk to them in the form of an interview. We assess their qualities based on their prior grades, their prior diplomas, but also what they expect of the program, how well they are informed of what is going on here. And then we select students that we want to work with. But there's no specific number of students that we can handle. It generally is roughly 30, but it varies roughly between 25 and 35. Going back to what kind of students, although our students can have a bachelor degree in many different prior fields, they do need to have some computer programming skills. They don't have to have learned that in their prior bachelor. So if you have, let's say, a bachelor in English literature, right? A question could be, I have a bachelor in English literature, and could I apply for this program? Yes, you can certainly apply. And I fully understand that if your bachelor was in English literature, then you probably did not have computer programming as part of the skill set that you will learn there. But that does not have to be a problem. You could have either learned it yourself because of interest already, or you can take the time between now and the program start. So in this case, it is now March, and the program starts in September. You can take the time between now and September to learn computer programming, and via an online course. So we do not have a full pre-master program that you need to do, like a half-year program. We don't do that. But we do ask you to do, if you do not have programming skills already, to actually get some programming skills via an online course that we recommend on our website. And I'll say a little bit more about the website towards the end of this presentation. But going back to the question, what programs did students do? It's incredibly diverse. We've just heard from Ties and Zane. Zane, you did political sciences before you joined the MediaTech program. And Ties, you did?
I did artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence in Groningen. That's true. Yeah. So it already shows some of the diversity. And trust me, the diversity goes a lot further. Exactly. So, for example, Ties, in your year, do you know some of the backgrounds that your fellow students had?
I mean, in my year, I already know some of this year's as well. But there's people from art schools, people from philosophy backgrounds. I think someone from this year's came from the film school. There's graphic designers.
Yeah, there's generally some communication and media design students there as well. Yeah. And you work in teams, right?
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say, is that when you're working in teams with these people, is that because I have some AI background, but if I work together with a designer, then you can combine your skills and come up with really cool projects. And I think the background mix is just great.
And when you say you work in teams, that is within the courses, I guess, within projects that you have to do for the courses.
Yeah, so I think my year has 36 students, and for each course you have, well, not for each course I think, but for many of the courses you team up with 3 or 4 people for your end project for that course. And so that every time you see some new faces or new groups, and you learn a lot from each other as well. Yeah. So that's interesting.
So where in the graduation research you are the boss of your, you're basically the boss of your research, and you team up with people like me, right? People who work at the university actually. During the courses themselves, you team up with your fellow students to do different projects. Is there a particular project from you or from one of your fellow groups that you found particularly interesting in your study years?
Recently I did the course Hardware and Physical Computing, which I teamed up with someone from who did computer science and someone who actually did the media technology bachelor's, I think.
Okay, yeah.
But I thought this was really fun because you're actually physically building. We made a robot spider that detects sonar, which I just found really fun because the whole week you're spending time working on this robot in a shed somewhere.
Yeah.
And the designing hardware.
The course Hardware and Physical Computing is really about giving technology a role in the physical
Yeah,
world,
yeah.
right? It's about,
'Cause
for example, making a robot.
I had never done anything like
No,
that.
I can imagine.
So,
Even though you did an artificial
yeah,
intelligence
but no,
bachelor.
I didn't have a lot of like electrical.
And we always have some
knowledge.
literature students,
Yeah, yeah.
students who have a literature background in our program, so they must be completely
Yeah.
flabbergasted when they build their first robot.
Exactly, and like another project I worked with. This was for non-human cognition. I worked with a designer who actually had experience with using slime mold, which I never knew about as well.
It's an organism. It's
Which
a
is like
single-cellular
a
organism.
single-celled organism, and we were gonna like 3D print this landscape and allow this slime mold to explore it, and I don't know, just like teaming up with someone like that, and
Very
them
cool.
sharing their experiences and me sharing my experiences.
And for which course was that?
Non-human cognition.
Oh, for non-human cognition. Okay.
Where the
cool.
the project
I didn't know that.
you choose like an animal or an organism,
Yeah.
and you explore how they use the cognition for their
Very cool.
for their
Very cool.
world.
That actually, I didn't know that because I'm not involved in this
Yeah.
particular course. But one of my research interests is basically the entanglement of biological and digital matter. So I've been involved in creating, for example, a long time ago, in creating one of the first video games that were controlled by animals, really. I've done studies into dogs playing video games, and we measured cortisol levels in their saliva to see whether they enjoyed playing video games. I've done a project where we had bacteria and fungi actually design landscapes for video games. So, you know, that's what we do here at the MediaTech program.
Yeah.
It's very funny. I'm going to say a little. Oh, I see another question coming in, which I'll answer in a moment. But before that, I want to say a little bit more. Can I ask direction? Yes, thank you very much for the slides back. So the question was, you know. What the prior question was, what bachelor do you need, or what background do students have? Well, as I think it's clear now, it's incredibly varied, all different kinds of backgrounds. But it's good to know that there is a shared trait between these people. They're not very different. And I don't know if you guys, Zan and Ties, recognize this, but to the opinion of the people who organize the program, I'm one of them, our students share, let's say, an interest in science, basically. They are conceptual thinkers. They like to think about new concepts, about things, you know, at the conceptual level. So not only at the practical level, but they want to understand things. They're not afraid of new ideas, and they're not afraid to build stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's generally the type
I'd say a big word would be like curious.
Curious.
Just constantly asking questions and like, what happens if I do this? Or
Yeah, I think you say our students are kind of like, you could call them curious, and I completely agree, but it's also a form of hands-on curiousness. They kind of like, they translate their own curiosity into actually building stuff and making stuff and trying stuff. I like that very much. So I told you there was a question already coming up. Is there a pre-master for the media technology program? No, there's no pre-master. It's very simple. It's as simple as that. We do not have a pre-master, despite the fact that we have very different incoming students from very different programs coming in. We do not have a pre-master. We do have some entry requirements, being able to have a certain level, a basic level of computer programming, and really a basic level is a requirement. But trust me, even students, as for example, the example that I gave before, English literature, or students in a communication background or a design background that had no computer programming in their prior program, are capable of learning this before they actually enter the program. Yeah. So we do not have a pre-master. We do have some requirements that you can meet. If you don't already meet them, you can actually do a simple online course. It's a short course. I think it's like something like 28 hours or so to spend on it to actually learn basic computer programming, right? Oh, there's another question. Apart from a future in scientific research or the creative industries, could the media technology program also prepare students for a future in ICT? Well, this is interesting. That's a very good question, actually. It's by Mijntje, I see. Yes, it could. It certainly could. And when we look at our alumni database, we see a lot of students who actually work in the field of ICT. So when we look at this alumni database, we see a relatively large fraction actually goes on to become a researcher. either in a what's known as a lectorate, which is a research group in a University of Applied Sciences, or as a PhD student like you went on in research, doing your PhD in cultural anthropology. But that's only a part. Indeed, there's also a group going into creative industry. Creative industry is a Dutch term, a term we use a lot in Holland, and it includes all aspects of industry that, such as ICT companies, also small-scale ICT companies, but also big ones. And so the question here was, could this program also prepare you for a career in ICT? Yes, it certainly can. But the interesting thing is, we see a fraction of our students has a background, has a bachelor degree in ICT, and they generally what happens to them is we add a layer of conceptual thinking, of creativity, of playfulness, of critical thinking to them that enables them to better find their own way in ICT companies. And so, yes, it certainly can. If you do not have a bachelor relating to in an ICT field, then it may be more difficult to use our program really as a stepping stone into ICT, but I think many students still do. But it just means that you will then have a more, let's say, conceptual function in ICT than, for example, a more creating function. Because learning to program is really something that is best to do in a combination of bachelor and master. But if you did not do it in your bachelor, you could still learn it in your master program. But then maybe you end up if you start to work in ICT, you have a more, let's say, conceptual function.
Yeah.
Conceptual
Or you
job.
mediate between the technical teams and the more
Yes.
conceptual. Right?
And I guess if you want to go that way, then it depends what electives you choose.
Yeah.
And you could say it makes you stand out more from the other ICT
That's certainly
students
true. Yeah.
because you have a more holistic.
I think that's
varied,
where our students do really good in job interviews,
yeah.
is that they have this holistic view of what can be done.
Because you have courses like computational creativity
Yeah.
or creative programming, and which I don't think regular ICT courses give.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we look at our alumni database, we see a lot of students who actually do join ICT companies. I recently, I think it was 2 days ago, I was looking for someone in our alumni set, and we have a closed LinkedIn group of alumni. I was looking there, and I found that the prior senior lead designer of Gmail and now of Android is also a former media technology student. So you can end up in big business as well, big ICT business. Another question. It's a requirement to have an English C1 certificate, right? Is it possible to get the certificate through the university? It's a question from Irene. Irene, I have no idea. There is an English requirement, but you need to understand how this works at a university such as Leiden. Is that there is an English requirement, and I have no idea what C1 is. I don't know what that is. But in a media technology program, to enter the program, you need to have a certain proficiency in English. However, that is not checked by us, the program. That is checked by the administrative parts of the university. So that's people in different offices than where the researchers sit, who actually know exactly what the rules are. And I'm pretty sure that if you go to Google and type Media Technology Leiden English, then you'll probably find a page that tells you exactly how you can demonstrate your proficiency. I know that an IELTS test would be good enough. I know that a TOEFL test is another one. But I also know that if you were trained in Holland, if you have Dutch education, you should really check the guidelines of Leiden University, because very often then you're exempt of this, of doing a test like this, right? Mathies, you actually grew up not in Holland, and neither did you, so I can't ask you guys. There's another question here. I was told that you have a course that leads to an actual exhibition. That is true. Can you tell me more? And why is it part of the program? That's a very interesting question. Yes, we do have a course that leads to an exhibition. I'm going to ask the director, can I see the slides again so I can flip through them? Thank you very much. Where is it? Somewhere, I think. Yeah, here it is. So in the first year, I showed you the compulsory courses that students do in the first year. But one of the courses that was not on that list, but you also do in the first year, is called Exhibition, Science to Experience. And it is where we ask students to come up with a scientific concept, a scientific statement, something, a result of science or an insight found by science, and translate that into an engaging experience for an audience in an exhibition. And you see here a few images that were taken at one of our exhibitions. We have an exhibition like this every year. And it really teaches us, it teaches the students to basically tell a scientific story, a scientific narrative, in a way different from writing an article. Typically, scientists write articles. It's basically paper with black ink, you know, nowadays it's a PDF, but okay. But there's so many more ways to tell a story. And to really show you that it's possible, we ask students to actually create an experience for a general public to convey a scientific insight. And actually, so students come up with interactive installations. We've seen performances, we've seen music, film even. So I don't know, you probably know, T, still what your project was about. But I'm going to ask both of you. What did you do for this course?
Well, it starts off with a theme, and you get which is chosen by all the course leaders. Our theme was mutate, which it was quite fitting for last year. But this was, I think, a really fun way to end the year, because you work in a team of 3, and as Maarten said, instead of making a paper, you make an experience for someone, and then in the end you're in a studio with everyone's projects, and you're basically part of like a science museum, something like Nemo, I guess. So our project was about how we made a game where you had to keep time, and then if you weren't exact, then things around you would start to mutate, and this was basically showing how absolute timekeeping is a challenge, because it's based on electron clocks and atomic clocks. So we were looking at how absolute timekeeping is still subject to like mutations.
Yeah, and also how that influences other standards, such as the kilo weight.
Exactly. So we tied all these things together and made this sort of really, really simple game with one button, which resulted in all these mutations around you. But to see other students have completely different interpretations of the theme was...
I love one-button games, specifically in an exhibition.
Yeah.
Really
I think
cool.
there was another one-button game for the...
Because it works really well.
Yeah.
Hey, Susanne, so for you it's been a while, but what was your... project for the exhibition Science to Experience course?
We in a team we decided that our goal or the experience that we want to deliver is help people enjoy deleting things, because we noticed, your desktop gets crowded, your computer gets crowded, and we just don't enjoy deleting. So it was a bit of a provocation. Let's enjoy deleting, and we made a chocolate vending machine where people could get chocolate in exchange of deleting their data that they were carrying around on their USB sticks or mobile phone on mobile cards, and it was great fun. It also, you're saying, it's not about writing the paper, it's about the experience. But it was so inspiring for us to hear all the conversations that we were having with people as they were deleting things, that we actually submitted, I believe, 2 or 3 scientific papers based on those observations and the information we collected. And on the behavior
of people. It was actually published as science. So this artistic installation led to scientific publications.
Exactly, and a conference attendance. And we also got invited to exhibit that work again elsewhere in the following year multiple times. So it really gave me also an impression of what it means if you're an interactive artist, for example, what sort of your life looks like when you keep going to events and introducing
I think that's
the work.
It's kind of like a circle that comes together. When you start the MediaTech program, you go to Linz, you go to the Ars Electronica Festival. It's where scientists and media artists come together and exhibit the leading edge projects on media art, on interactive installations, but also how that relates to science. That's really what that festival is about. It's the leading festival in the world. But the funny thing is that we really see that it pays off to bring our students there, because later, for example, in this particular course where we organize an exhibition, students are so comfortable with this For example, the gallery where we showed it.
Yeah.
Your work, Ties, was shown in the V2 gallery
Yeah.
in Rotterdam. Do you
Same.
remember where yours?
Also
Yours was
V2.
also shown there, yeah. And we really see that our students, from the start of being in the program, they consider themselves to be these academic, artistic scientists, really. Yeah, I really like that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, if I can add, I think Ars Electronica experience, at least for me, was really transformational. I remember on day 2, I was sitting at the pavement, sitting by the pavement and writing a diary, and I literally wrote, everything that I believed so far is false.
Oh, really?
I was really so impressed by everything that I saw. I remember there was this one project from university in China, I believe, where they were making sort of an invisible cloak.
Oh,
and I was just,
yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Is this
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a great way to start the
It
program.
is, it is, and it really is. It's this breaking of prior expectations, or this knocking over of prior expectations, that is a thing that our program naturally does.
Yeah.
It not only through this visit to the Ars Electronica program, but also I think, in the class discussions, in the type of research that we show our students. I remember I'm one of the teachers in the Playful and Creative Science course, and it's also where we break down prior conceptions of what research is, and we show that it can be something different. And it really, I think it's a theme in our program, to knock over these existing walls and to really go for into this interdisciplinary, creative, playful approach in the academic world. I'm looking at the time. I'm getting signals here as well from the director to keep an eye on time. And I see a few more questions. That's a good thing. I'm terribly sorry to those students whose question I do not answer, but let me pick one from the list that I see. This is a good one to wrap up with. How can I contact you with questions? That's very good. Oh, there's another one. Do you have a YouTube channel? Well, I can discuss both questions, actually, answer them in once. How can I contact you with questions? Well, if you go to our website, which you should be able to find, there's an email address. I'll show it to you in a minute. Can I ask the director to show me the slide? So yes, let's see. Where's my final slide? This one. There's a webpage over there. If you go there, you can find how to contact us, and you can contact us directly. So then you do not if you go to this website, that's our own website. Website of the program that we maintain for our own students and potential students. You can contact us directly via email, or there's a list of teachers there. Everyone's email address is there. Mine is there. Zana's is there because you also teach in our program now. So that's a good way to contact us. The main contact point for our program is the program coordinator. And her name is Barbara. Barbara can be contacted via this website as well. Her email address will be on there. So that's the main contact point. A related question that I just scanned from the list is, do you have a YouTube channel? Yes, we do. Don't ask me for the URL. I don't know it. But if you go to the website that is on the screen now, mediatechnology.leiden.education, then you should be able to click on any of the videos you see on the front page, and it should bring you to our YouTube channel. Otherwise, there should be a social link button on our website that brings you also to our YouTube channel. One of the things that is not on our YouTube channel yet is a recording of this session. I'm looking at the director. Yes, he's nodding yes. It's going to be recorded apparently and will appear on this YouTube channel. Had I known, I would have worn a jacket.
I'm also rethinking a few things now.
Yeah, exactly. What have I said in the last 50 minutes? Well, anyway, things will be fine. So it's important that you are able to find the website that you see on the screen now, because that tells you exactly what online course should you do if you do not have programming skills yet to prepare. Again, it's not a pre-master, it's a single course of roughly 28 hours that you can do. We have a lot of information under the section considering to apply. It tells you a lot of information on our website for those of you who are considering to apply. What should you expect, how should you prepare, etc. That means we can wrap up. Is there anything else I wanted to say? Not really. Thank you very much, Ties. Thank you very much, Zane.
Thank
You very much, everyone at home, for attending here and for your questions also. My name is Maarten Lamers, and I'll be signing off now. And I hope to welcome you in Leiden, in our classroom, in one of the courses that I teach.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. See you, Leiden.
Bye.